Hi everyone, Professor Gustin here, and we are still on the chemistry of life. And the next objective, the next learning outcome we have is describe the general characteristics of lipids. And so we already talked about carbohydrates. So now we're going on to our second group of organic molecules, the lipids. Distinguish them from other organic molecules. So what are the other ones? Let's see if we had carbohydrates and lipids. The last two are proteins and nucleic acids. So one of the big things about lipids, and you know this already, when you think of lipid, you probably think of fat or oil or things like that. They don't dissolve in water. Think about what you know about making salad dressing or something like that. The oil is always going to float on the top. So that's one big thing about lipids is they don't dissolve in water. And the lipids that we're going to talk about are the triglycerides, which are the fats and oils. We're also going to mention phospholipids and steroids. So these are all in that group of organic molecules called lipids. They're not all made of chains of subunits in the same way as the other three types of organic molecules. So they're a little bit different that way, but they do have some unique structure that makes them unable to dissolve in water. So I have on here state the functions of fats, phospholipids, and steroids in cells. And probably instead of saying fats there, I should say the triglycerides. So what's the function of the triglycerides, the phospholipids, and steroids? And so here we have fats and oils, which are called triglycerides. And these are an energy source. And when you think about where you have fat on your body, it's there for insulation. It's there for cushioning. It's there to protect our organs, hold us, make us feel comfortable. Sometimes we ate too much energy and we're storing a little too much fat and we have a little too much insulation and cushioning. Okay. But even, a relatively thin person is going to have some fat associated with their body. So these triglycerides can be fats or oils. And just think about what you know about food. Like, what does a fat look like? What does an oil look like? And in this picture right here, they're showing you fats. It's going to be hard. It's going to be more solid at room temperature. Oils are more likely to be liquid at room temperature. Fats are usually animal in origin and solid at room temperature. Oils are usually plant in origin and liquid at room temperature. But both of these are triglycerides. Just as far as there's a lot in your book and other places about saturated fats and unsaturated oils and all this kind of stuff. And it gets into a lot of detail that we'd have to go over more chemistry. And I'm just hoping that you can take my word for it, that fats are generally considered a less healthy alternative than eating oils. Oils tend to be our more healthy alternatives to eat our lipids in the form of liquids rather than solids. Another kind of lipid, in addition to the triglycerides, we have the phospholipids. And the phospholipids are a special kind of liquid that are in cell membranes. So if this is a picture, a cartoon of a cell, and we're going to talk about cells. Cells are the smallest unit of life. The cell has an outer layer. Now, think about like inside your body. It's all squishy and moist. If the outside of our cells could dissolve, if it could mix with water, we would just be one big blob. We wouldn't have individual cells. So it's important that the outside layer, what we call the cell membrane, is made of lipid, because this keeps the liquid inside the cell and the liquid outside the cell from blending together. We need the inside of the cells to look different from the outside, or else we'd just be one mushy blob. And so the cell membrane's got a lot of lipid in it, because remember, lipid doesn't dissolve in water. So if we look at this structure of this plasma membrane, this cell membrane, which is also called the plasma membrane, but if we look at the structure, here's a enlargement of what the phospholipids look like, the kind of lipid in cell membranes are phospholipids. And what you can see is there's one molecule. You've got the circle with these two tails. And the circle with the two tails, that's one phospholipid. And they line up in this really special way where the little circles they like water. So they stay associated with the outside and the inside of the cell. And then the tails, they don't like water. So they kind of hide away from the water. So if you look on this picture, here's that same cell. This cell, we just put the phospholipids there. We've got these little heads on the outside and on the inside where the liquid is, but this is the layer, these tails, they won't dissolve in water. So that protects that cell. So the phospholipids are a special kind of lipids that make up cell membranes. We also have the third kind of lipid I'm going to mention. So we had the triglycerides, the phospholipids, and now we have steroids. And these are also lipids because they don't dissolve in water. And you've heard of steroids when we talk about steroid hormones, or somebody's taking steroids so they can get bigger muscles. Those are hormone mimics. They contribute to our metabolism. And so some of our hormones are made of steroids. And here's testosterone, and there's estradiol, which is estrogen, the male and the female sex hormones. But you'll also notice, there's that cholesterol. Cholesterol is also a steroid. And so when we're thinking about of our cardiovascular health, we always say, don't eat too much cholesterol. Cholesterol is considered a lipid because it doesn't dissolve in water. And notice that the steroids are kind of unique structure. They have this 4-ring structure that's the same in all of them. They've got a little bit different variations, but these 4 rings make it a steroid. Now here I have, here's that cell membrane again, the same cell membrane on the outside of our cells, the boundary between the inside and the outside of our cells. And there's those phospholipids, but there's also cholesterol in part of that phospholipid membrane. If you look right here, there's cholesterol. Here's some cholesterol. There's some right there. And that actually helps stabilize that membrane. It gives it some structure. So we actually do need some cholesterol in our diet because we need it to make our plasma membranes. And I put this picture here to remind myself to tell you that you might hear if you have a baby, they say don't give the baby full fat milk until they're like 2 or something. There's an age at which your pediatrician will tell you that you don't want to put a baby on a low fat diet. So you give it full fat milk. And the reason is because you need this cholesterol in order to make cells. You don't want to give it a low cholesterol diet. So cholesterol is actually, we need it. We just happen to eat too much of it a lot of times. There's a section in your book, again, if you go to your lecture assignment and go to the reading, you'll find the Biology Today, and it talks about good and bad cholesterol. So cholesterol is a lipid, and there actually are these cholesterol-carrying proteins in the blood. We all know we can have too much cholesterol. And these cholesterol-carrying proteins in the blood, the amount of these proteins can be influenced by what we eat. And we have 2 proteins. They're called HDL and LDL. And you don't need to know what the abbreviation means, but it means high-density lipoprotein and low-density lipoprotein. I know a lot of people that remember HDL is happy. This is a good molecule, and this is what gets rid of cholesterol. These molecules get rid of cholesterol. So when they measure your cholesterol level, they're going to say, what is your HDL cholesterol and what is your LDL cholesterol level? Your HDL cholesterol level, if that's high, that's good because these are proteins that are getting rid of cholesterol, and they bring it to your liver, and your liver removes the cholesterol from your body. The LDL, I've heard people remember this as the lousy stuff. So the happy HDL, lousy. The LDL cholesterol is actually the kind that's really sticky. and it sticks inside of your arteries and can ultimately block your arteries, block your blood flow through your heart, give you strokes. So our cholesterol is, you can see it in two forms, whether it's attached to these HDL proteins or these LDLs, and you want to have more HDL. And how do you do that? Well, a lot of times what you eat can influence your HDL and LDL ratios. And so you want to stay away from high fat foods, high cholesterol foods. You want to eat more fiber. You want to eat less sugar. Like, there's all sorts of things that you eat that can influence your cholesterol levels. And it's not just if you eat cholesterol, it's if you eat fat. Fat can be used to make cholesterol in your body. The amount of activity you get, exercising regularly is an indicator, promotes more HDL cholesterol. But sometimes you do everything right and you still have high cholesterol. And genetics can also affect these. So a lot of times your doctor will ask you, do your parents have high cholesterol? Oh, there's a good chance you might too, because it's part of your genetics. But in general, cholesterol, okay, so we were talking about lipids. Steroids are one of the lipid groups. Cholesterol is a steroid. We need some cholesterol to help build our cell membranes, but we can also get too much. And so we're looking for more HDL cholesterol in our blood than LDL. We want the happy stuff and not the lousy stuff. Just this picture, 2.5 says, describe the causes and effect of what we call atherosclerosis. And a lot of times people get this disease called atherosclerosis because they have high cholesterol and high triglycerides, high fats in their diet. What happens is this cholesterol and fats build up in your arteries in the form of plaque. So here's a normal artery that your blood flows through. And you can get this lipid-containing plaque. And you can see that it kind of blocks the blood flow, so it can give you high blood pressure. It can also cause you to form blood clots, which can give you stroke. So your diet, your genetics, lack of exercise, smoking can all contribute to atherosclerosis. And this is the primary cause of cardiovascular disease in humans. Cardiovascular diseases include heart disease and stroke and kidney disease. So paying attention to your exercise and your diet, which we hear all the time, we have a good idea of what we should be doing that's right, can have a direct impact on your cardiovascular system. And most of this doesn't show up until you're a little bit older, but it comes faster than you think. So, and here's a check your progress with the function of the triglycerides. So again, this is what's in your book. So if you go to the lecture assignment and go to reading, you'll see these questions and it will give you the answers. I think I'm going to stop right there and come back to proteins in the next video.